How was that for a nice long silent intro? I had a couple of things that weren't set up and I had to do it. So, welcome, folks, to the Captain's Log tonight. I'm your captain, Scotty Roberts, your radio captain, anyway. And I want to talk to you about something that I think all of us have endured at one point or another, and we've never always labeled it correctly or we've looked at it wrongly. And there are seasons when doing the right thing feels like doing absolutely nothing at all. And tonight's log is for anyone who's learning that stillness can still be work. And if you've been wondering why nothing seems to be happening lately, this log might change how you see that in your situations. One of the hardest lessons experience teaches is this: not all progress makes noise. So I tend to be an impatient person. I want to move. I want to make things happen. I don't want to sit back. I don't want to sit on my hands. But I want to move forward, frenetic sometimes. And sometimes you want to insert yourself places where you ought not, to try to make something happen the way you think it needs to happen. And that's where we make our mistakes. What kind of situations do you have tonight where you can apply this? Listen. Captain's log tonight is the work that looks like nothing. And there's seasons in life where doing the right thing feels like absolutely nothing at all. There's no big conversations. There's no dramatic turns. There's no visible progress you can point to and say, there it is. That's it. And yet, this is often where the real work actually lives. And most of us were taught that effort has to look like motion, that love must look like pursuit. I think of Pepe Le Pew. Oh, my Liebchen. Oh, you are so round, so firm, so fully packed. Cartoon skunks. So that love has to look like pursuit. That strength has to announce itself in order to count and mean anything. But experience has taught me, and should teach all of us, something much quieter than that. There are moments when restraint is not weakness, it's precision. Get that? Restraint is not weakness, it's precision. It's like brain surgery. So when stepping back isn't abandonment, it's respect. When holding steady takes more courage than pushing forward. So think about how often we rush in because we're uncomfortable, not because the situation actually requires it. We speak too soon. We press for answers too early. We try to fix things that are still finding their own shape. And in doing so, we sometimes disturb what was already beginning to settle on its own. And we throw wrenches in the gears. So there's a kind of maturity that leans to let calm do its work. I said to my own daughter last night, I said, be calm, be peaceful, do what's right, and we'll talk about it in the morning. Constant, I want to stick my hand in there and help. But sometimes you've got to be patient. And with her last night, it was a thing of constantly against her rebuffs and her yelling and her somewhat nastiness sometimes toward me as her dad. Each answer was me trying to de-escalate and bring peace. So sometimes there's a kind of maturity that learns to let calm do its work. We don't have to really engage all the time. Not disengagement, not indifference, not presence without pressure. Love without pursuit. Strength without performance. And this applies everywhere. Relationships, healing, work, grief, change. Any place where timing matters more than force. Oh, and that's a tough one for me. I have always been somebody that says, oh, I hate the waiting. I want to do this now. I want to get this done now. I want to fix this now. I want to solve this now. And I never learned the lesson. How many times have I ruined things because I stuck my hand in too early? That's what we need to do. Any place where timing matters more than force. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is resist the urge to prove that you care. And instead, trust that care can be felt without it being chased down. Quiet waters don't mean nothing is happening. They mean something is stabilizing. Watch for the signs of stability. And stability is not stagnation. It's the foundation. Words given on that. Now I have some affirmations. I always want to say these with me, but you can't see them. I do not need to create urgency to be relevant. Get that? I don't need to create urgency to matter, to be relevant. I can be present without pressing for outcomes. Restraint is a form of wisdom, not fear. And what is meant to settle will not require force. The final one, I trust the work that unfolds quietly. Oh, and that's a tough one too. So here's the benediction. May you learn to recognize progress that doesn't announce itself. May you find peace in steadiness, not just movement. May you remember that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not interfere with what's already finding its way. Take that to heart. Now, that's technically the end of the log, but over the last couple of days, I wrote a poem about this. I was going to do this log a couple of nights ago, last week, but I didn't because I wanted to write this poem and include it. So here you go. Sit back. Enjoy this. What still water knows. The old sailors used to say the sea is never still. It only appears that way when it's doing its deepest work. Below the glassed surface, whole worlds are rearranging, currents choosing their paths, silt settling where it belongs, wreckage becoming reef. But the impatient man looks at the calm and says, nothing's happening here. He stamps his feet, he throws stones, rows in tight, furious circles just to feel useful. He mistakes motion for meaning. The wiser ones set their oars down. They listen. They know the tide. They know the tide doesn't respond to shouting. They know the harbor isn't earned by forcing the wind. They wait, not idle, but attentive. Because still water remembers things that storms forget. It remembers how ships were built, why stars were trusted, how distance was crossed without panic. And it knows this truth. What is meant to rise does not need to be dragged. What is meant to return knows the way. Like Odysseus, who carried Ithaca in his bones long before his feet touched shore. Storms did not erase the map. Detours did not unmake the promise. Even the long way home was still homeward. So if tonight the sea around you is quiet, do not insult it with fear. Stand watch. Keep the light trimmed. Hands light on the wheel. The water is working. And that's the log. Stay the course. All right. Let us say au revoir to our Instagram audience. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. Join us over on the YouTube channel if you want to join the chat. And thus the Instagram stream has ended. And we can move on. Pamela Zaspel Torreson, you're the first name I saw. Stand by. We're going to do our opener, and I'll be right back. Here we go. All right, welcome back to the captain's cabin, folks. Here we are, and I've got to shut off. Something looks different here, and I don't want to mess anything up. Are we still here? Yeah, I think we are. Let me get back in here. Let me close that. Let me open that. There we go. Now we're here. So let's do our nightly ritual and get everybody welcomed tonight. Barbie D, good to see you. She said, I remembered tonight. Hey, so did I. I almost forgot. I had to do a lot of running around today. With kids, it's all the back and forth stuff right now. So I was back and forth several times today. And so we've got Michelle Kenneth McFreedom here. Good to see you. And I'm glad you enjoy the show, Barbie D. It's nice to have you here. And Michelle says, hey, I have that shirt. Shazam. There it is. And the quiet work, chop wood, carry water. Yeah, that's about it. Barbie D said, I never did those things, LOL. Faith and hope are self-fulfilling prophecies. Yeah, they really are. Pamela Zaspel says, you should make a little coffee table book of all your affirmations. Hey, there's an idea. I was thinking, was it somebody here in the captain's cabin or somebody outside that said I should take all the poems I've written over the last year and publish them in a book? Might do that too. Maybe poems and affirmations. How about that? That's a great idea, Pamela Zaspel. I'm using your last name. That's a great idea, John Smith. So, Pamela Zaspel, that's a good idea. I like it. We should get together for coffee and talk about that. You could be my agent on that. How about that? Let's see. The more I let go, the more I have. Somebody said to me yesterday, trying to think who I had this conversation with. It wasn't on the show, was it? The idea of letting go. You know, we've heard for millions of years, let go and let God. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. That's not an easy task. How do I let go of what's in me and part of me and part of how I got to where I am? That's a tough one. Heard your notification ding after you said, what's meant to return knows the way. Yeah. That's very true. What's meant to return. And many of us, we're in so many different situations. What's meant to come to us will come. What's meant to return will return. So I use the example, the illusion of Odysseus and returning to Ithaca. And he was gone for 20-something years as the king of Ithaca. And all the travels he went to trying to get back home. The mythic hero's legendary story. And for those of you, by the way, who have read the first illustrated book I ever did, came out in 2008, was The Rollicking Adventures of Tam O'Hare. And if you look very closely, the hero's journey is in that book. Because Tam is called on to find his young cousin who's been stolen by the Fae. And the whole book, all the action in the book, all the different places of action, all the different settings and the different stories within stories are all the progress to get to that final place where he finds the young girl. It's the mythic journey. Thank you, Pamela Zaspel. Wonderful. My mic went off. Sorry about that. I did get an alert up on the top. So I think we're back on. Don't like that it does that and it has a mind of its own. Divine confirmation. Yes, that happens. Stay the course, says Barbie D. Indeed. Good night, Instagram, she said. And good evening, everybody. Hey, Dead End. Good to see you. That is Niall in Ireland. So, Pamela said that would be very interesting. Yeah, it would be. So, make it so. Number one. So, all right. So, staying the course tonight. Let what's meant to be there be there. And what's not, let it go its way. All different. That applies to so many different things. So, All right, what's everybody got to talk about tonight? You are welcome to call in. I'm going to send you an invite in the chat room. You may call in. You may talk. You can talk about, excuse me, the show tonight, the Captain's Log. You may talk about what it meant to you. You may talk about the philosophy of it, and we can take it from there. Or you can talk about a topic of your own if you'd like to call in. So there you go. There is the link for those of you who want to do it. It's right there. And some of you who have never called in ought to call in. Niall says, have done a piece based on the bog mummy, old Krogan man, with the perfectly preserved, slightly curled left hand. He died over 2,000 years ago. Have I seen that one, or is this a new piece you did, Niall? I usually like your art when you put it up. So, what else have we got here? There's a couple of other things I wanted to do here for you. And I am working on finally getting published the How to Be an Archaeologist. Now, many of you have heard that. I read it online here and during the Intrepid radio program. And I thought it's not big enough. It's not meaty enough. It's perfect as is, but to publish it, it's got to be a little longer. The standard pagination of books, it's got to have a few more pages, like a dozen more pages in it. And now I can fill those pages with things. I could do a nice foreword. I could write about the fact that that story was very loosely based on my old late friend, Dr. John Ward, who passed away last August. And it's about his experiences very loosely when he was a kid and how he got into pursuing archaeology. And so I could write about how a poem for kids can become a teaching lesson. Things like that. So I want to, Niall, this is going to take a little bit before I bring you in. He just popped into the studio. I want to do a little reading of the How to Be an Archaeologist. I'm going to throw up some images too for you to look at. Let's do it this way. I'm going to go over here and go to here and go to, is this the one I want? Yes. Okay. I'm going to throw this up. And it stopped. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm going to throw this one up. There is the book design. That is the cover, front and back. And so it's called How to Be an Archaeologist. And I'm trying to do two things at once, and I'm doing neither well. So I'm getting lost in my own stuff. So there's the cover, front and back of the book, How to Be an Archaeologist. And I'm going to call up the first page as well, so you can see in your mind's eye Damn this thing. Damn, 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 damn. I see it, Hawk. I see it. I don't need 10 messages, but thank you. I appreciate that. So it dings, so I hear it. So I hate when that does that. So here we go. That's okay. You didn't miss much. I was talking to Phil Space while I was looking for this file. So here we go. And how to be an archaeologist. It goes like this. Sit back and listen. This first page you'll see. I'm going to put on my glasses, and I'll show you some more of the pictures as we go. You had no idea. You were just out to play, wading in the shallows of the river that day, when your bare toes dislodged it, broke it loose from the clay, a pipe carved in meerschaum, 100 years in the cray. Someone had lost it or tossed it away off the bridge in your town that spanned River Cray. The pipe sank to the bottom, and for the next 100 or so years lay quietly waiting for you to appear. The pipe stem was broken, the bowl caked with muck. The hand-carved face was intact. What luck! A man with a bicorn hung over his brow, looked you straight in the eyes, and implored you somehow to take the first step on a path that would lead to the rest of your life and your life work's creed. With your riverbed fine tucked deep in your pocket, he was up to the town you sped like a rocket, where there on the corner of High Street and Crockett was a curious old shop where the keeper's old docket could surely tell all of the pipe in your pocket. Sure enough, it was old, and much older than old. He was ancient, antique, and bore history untold. The face on the bowl was of Admiral Lord Nelson, whose defeat to the fleet of Napoleon had won him great honor and glory, and a statue on a column, and even his face on a pipe carved in meerschaum. Do you know what meerschaum pipes are, by the way? They're those white pipes you see that's soft. It's almost like pipestone for the Native Americans, but it's white. You carve it. You can carve intricate details in it. And as you smoke them, they get a patina on them that reddens them or browns them, and they become hard, and it's beautiful, beautiful work. So I'll show you what the pipe looks like. How about that? Here's the pipe that he finds in the river of Admiral Lord Nelson. Right here. Open that baby up. Ooh, that's a big file. Let's make sure it can do it. It's working on it. Or it's kicking me. I don't know which one it's doing. Here it is. There. There's the meerschaum pipe of Admiral Lord Nelson. So much to be learned, so much history discovered from an old ancient pipe that you found underwater. And what of the artist who took time to create it? What were his reasons? Why did he not date it? For whom was it made? Why was it important? Could these questions be answered, or would they ever remain dormant? Carefully, delicately, you clean off the tarnish. Add a new stem and a light coat of varnish. Up on your bookshelf, you set up a display where it will stand and remain until that one day when the right time arrives to light it and smoke it. Only you will know when, and you will not postpone it. Soon middle school came, then high school too. Homecoming was fun and football was cool. Phi Beta Kappa and the activities of college took a distinctive backseat to exploration and knowledge. You wanted to know things. You craved all the answers. You needed your bachelor's degree to advance your academic, educational, scholarly compliances in history, anthropology, geography, and the sciences. Even math and lit were stepping stone reliances that would ready you, steady you, and give you the tools to pursue your life's goal. You must follow the rules. Your home away from home was the library on campus. It was there that you researched and studied your ass off. There were good times with your mates. You drank plenty of beer. You had to do something that helped you to steer people away from thinking you overly freaky, for your studious focus made you seem rather geeky. Not to mention your scholarly pallor, so creepy. But you were, after all, following the steps of Lou Leakey, whose condensed milk and cognac was anything but cheeky. So here's to the beers, and here's to the cheers, and here's to the books for the next 3 to 4 years. They're all toasting. Archaeology. Now here's where we shift a little bit in the poem. Archaeology isn't just digging in dirt. It's not always about treasure, adventure, or curse. It's the study of people and their material remains. It even goes back to prehistory days. And of course, my mic was off. I don't know how long it was off. So I didn't see any messages come in, so Hawk was not bugging me about it. There you go. Mic is back on. I don't know what you missed. Hopefully not too much. And I'm going to throw up another image. I wish my soundboard would not do this. And Hawk and I had it fixed, but it has regressed on us. Let's see what I got here. Here is just going to find a neat picture to put up. Boy, it's giving me a lot of problems tonight. It went off again. Don't know why it wants to do that to me tonight. Let's see. If I reset it to, I'm going to use that one. It's a different version of the same board. It's just the default. Let's see if that holds it. Now, let's go over to the poem again. And I'm going to see if I can, I'm going to close this window down a little bit just so I can see what that microphone's doing behind the scenes here. Now that you've hung your BA on the wall, it's time to get serious. Set your mind to the long haul of earning your master's, writing papers and theses, of travel and internships, working as an assistant. Anthropology, it's said, is the study of people, how they hunted and farmed, built monuments unspeakable. You study ancient languages and decipher religions, examine statues and pottery and tribal divisions. From the Maya to the Aztec, the Anasazi and Hun, the Indus Valley Migration and Ancient Egypt 101, you absorb all the books, take your tests and read papers, siphoning all that you can from these academic capers. Soon the curricular mist of scholarship parts. You know what you want. You know where it starts. You hear the call of the ages through the dynastic haze. The riddle of the Sphinx reaches through the malaise. The voices have spoken. The gods have regaled you. Despite the minutiae, academia gave you. To the gods, demigods, and spirits of the dead, to the land of the pharaohs, you know you must head. And I think I will throw this one up as well. Let's see. Image file. We're going to go here and here and here. Let's put this one up. This is the page I just finished reading, and it will appear in a moment. And my mic went off just as I was watching it just there. Now it's back on again. So that was the stanza I just read. And let's move on. A handful of years now passed through your journal. Abu Simbel and Khufu only lent you a kernel of the grandeur that lies neath the sands neath your feet. The final step has begun for your beginning to complete. Identified and applied and now signed with the ministry, you've been granted permission to uncover history. A shovel in one hand and a trowel in the other. Your third hand extended to a benefactor and sponsor. At long last you stand in Ra's blazing simmer, sinking your spade into your own quest for treasure. And I've got a nice illustration. I like this one. Not that I don't like them all, but let's see, where is it? This one. Let's throw this baby out. Boom. And we'll let that propagate over. And hopefully you can enjoy this with the breaks I'm putting in there. So we can load up images. There it is. A handful of years have now passed through your journal. I read that one already. That's the picture that went with that page. And I'm not throwing up all the pictures, but you're getting an idea here. You won't find it in books. They don't teach it in school. The universities won't break with their cardinal rule that says it's all science, just history, nothing more. They give you lectures and letters, then matriculate you to the door. But it's there in that moment, after years of hard work, of reading, writing papers, and digging in the dirt, that you find yourself breathing the air of the ancients. You've moved rocks, sifted silt, and now here you face it. And this one I must put up. This was based a little bit on John Ward when I made this. And it's kind of it's funny, it's kind of an amalgam of the two of us in this image. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Is that the final? I don't know. Let's see. 2, 5, 2, 8. First. All right, just looking for the right image. Here we go. Put this one up. All right, and now we'll return to this page in the book. Eternal life, it was written, resides in the name. Remembrance and utterance is the name of that game. So you drop to your knees, assuaging your fears, and for the very first time in thousands of years, you gaze into eyes that shed only stone tears. Your fingers brush lightly on glyphs carved so bold, and there on the lintel where in antiquity was told the story of this man, now 3,000 years old. In the recounting of his life and his deeds of great fame lay the resurrection to be found only in his name. His face to your face, your words to his ears. You speak out his name not uttered in years, and the statue before you breaks free of its bonds, reconnecting with life in the light of the gods. When the din of discovery has settled and flown, you return to your cottage on the river back home. There's so much more work, so much more to uncover. You know you'll be restless till you return in November. For the next 6 months, it's all about writing. You must catalog your season and publish your findings. I'm going to put up one final image because it goes with this last page. I'll put this one up right here. It's a little smaller in density. So on your way to your study, you get a glimpse in the mirror. The ruddy young lad you no longer see there. The man reflected is a sun-leathered tan, whose temples are flecked with the color of sand. It is time, you say, to the glass with a smile. Lord Nelson's been waiting for a very long while. And there you go. That, my friends, is the long poem, How to Be an Archaeologist. There you go. I'll remove that and come back up. I probably could have done that smoother, but I didn't. So it is what it is. Yeah, we're going up and down. Now it's muted. Now it works. It's muted. It's gone. No sound. Now there's sound. So yeah, there's something wrong with the connection in my equipment. We had it figured out, and then something happened that seemed to change it all last week again. So we got to refigure it out what we did. So there we go. Thank you, Steph. Thank you. I didn't see you come in, Steph Cuervo Queen. And there's a bunch more illustrations in that book. There's one for every stanza. I have thought if I have to expand this, I might break up some of the multiple stanzas on one page and do a new illustration, post it to a next page kind of thing. So there you go. What's everybody else got to talk about? I need some callers. Why, you may well ask? Well, because I want to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to post this up one more time. Here is the link. Paste. Boom. And you can use that link to find your way here. And we can talk about what's on your name, or what's on your mind. And we can, something I want to tell you about. Thursday is the first official new edition of Robertson Robertson. And Wendy did some magnificent video pieces to show off what we're doing. And she's got one that's so cool. I want to show you this. And I want to see if I can show this. I wish I could get rid of the text that covers it, but that's all right. I'll bring it back to the beginning. And here, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see this. This is what Wendy put together today. Where is it? Share screen. Share screen. And Facebook. There it is. Here we go. All right. Wendy just put this together today. Robertson, Thursday at 9 p.m. Let's see if we can actually. And that's all. I thought it was very cool. I'll let it play. So it'll be very much the same, but very much different. So that is going to be on Thursday, that 3 p.m. in the afternoon Central Time. It's drive time fare, 4 p.m. Eastern. And you can do the time zones wherever you live. So there you go. So that's coming up on Thursday. And we've got Niall back. Good. I was going to say, Niall, come on back in. Let's add him to the stage. How you doing, Niall?
All right, just that.
How's Ireland today?
Grand. Can you hear me all right? Yeah, just needed to delete something. Yeah, interesting. Listen to your story there. Well, you're so emotional and so poetic.
I'm not hearing.
Am I on mute? Am I on mute?
No. Your sound just went really low.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you.
Okay, fine.
Cool. Good to have you back.
Yeah. I was just I was drawing something up today, and it was based on the bog bodies that we used to find in the old peat fields here in Ireland. And there's a little story behind this, because I used to live for years with my parents right behind a massive peat field and bog field, very, very deep, very dangerous. When we were children, we were not allowed to go there at all. You know, that there was a massive fence. Because especially during the winter, you would just get sucked right down. It's just like quicksand, you know. But as I got older, I started to work there as a teenager, and they had these during the winter, because there's so much moisture in the soil and in the peat that has to be drawn out. They brought in these massive pieces of machinery. They basically just used to suck out the moisture from the earth.
Yes.
And then they would leave it a couple of weeks. And then basically what they would do is they would cut down to end up with the turf, you know, just for anybody who's ever had a turf fire. And, you know, if you ever come to Ireland and you see somebody with a basket full of turf and they throw it on the fire, it starts this way, right? This stuff is so volatile that what they have to do is they have to basically put you in a sling, and they slice down with a piece of machinery about 20 feet on either side by about 5 foot. Okay, and there's people on the other side, and they hold everything in with a metal. A piece of metal that goes down so far, and what you have to do is just slice across in stages, and then the guy on top just eases it out and takes it in and puts it in a barrow, and then takes that down. Then you go down a little bit further, then you move across, and you'd have to do that in very, very careful and minute stages, because the entire thing could collapse at any stage. There's so much moisture involved. You're basically dealing with mud. If it collapsed on top of you, you'd be lost. They wouldn't be able to get to you. So that is how turf is actually created from the ground, you know. And I was talking to someone about this today, and it's kind of they thought the story was fascinating. I used to work in a bog field. Yeah, it was just behind me, but a lot of people don't think of what is actually involved in literally, slicing these bog.
Mike Roche,
These in stages, and you look at you're basically it's a bit like being lowered down some kind of chamber, you know. Brown on either side, you know, very, very moist. You just slice down, you slice, you know, you have your careful restrictions. It's actually 19 inches by 5.5. And then you bring it up.
Do peat fields like that replenish themselves?
Oh, they do. They do. They do.
Peat field to replenish.
The earth itself is so moist that it carries on under the road. We had a road that was about 2.5 miles long, led down to the nearest town. The road had to be completely retarred every couple of years because it just kept on just going like this and going like this and just kept just blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, you got used to it because you were from the area.
Right.
So but basically what you're sitting on is like a mud pile, basically, you know, and it's kind of fascinating. And what is discovered in these mud piles over the centuries is fascinating. Of course, we know about the black oak, which is probably the most expensive and priceless wood that you can get in the world. But we also have the famous one. One of the there are a number of them, but one of the most famous ones is the old Crohonman, is the man of the hill, which is you might have seen it. It's basically a left hand and it slightly curls like this.
Yeah,
I've seen it from there. It's fingerprints are there and fingernails are there. Everything is there. Hairs are there. It's absolutely perfectly formed. And it's and there is some slicing. The torso is flattened slightly, and there is some slicing across the torso, and there is some other body parts that are spread out. Now, the archaeologists, in their excitement for myth making, said, "Oh God, this guy's huge. This guy's 6'6". I think that there's body parts over there. I think that's part of his leg, and I think that's part of a femur." And they were getting totally excited about this for many years. So it's like we had a giant in the bog, basically. Estimated to be from between 2,000 to 2,300 years ago. So about 300 BC. So, but it was, it was Iron Age kind of area or realm. So these guys used to go down at winter and with their tools and dig this stuff out, So it was very easy for them to fall, and there was all these rumors about these bodies being buried in rituals. And if you've ever worked land like that, it doesn't work like that. You don't walk across this land and do a ritual. Sure. I mean, this is like walking across quicksand in fucking. Sure. You just get sucked down. You don't do anything in though. It's very dangerous. The only way they could do it is across planks. That's why they found.
That's interesting. I always wondered what kind of industry is still there for peat. So
yeah, it's a massive industry, and it's kind of, but the old ways are still there's only so much heavy machinery you can bring onto this land, which is basically permanently wet.
Sure.
Basically, you can build roads on top of it, but the roads will collapse within maybe 80 years or so.
Sure.
So it was kind of fascinating to discover that this hand, they have it in the Irish Museum now. the DNA that you could possibly get from something like that. But then again, maybe it's better that we don't know. It's like listen to your book. Maybe myths are more powerful than realities. This corpse has fingernails, has fingerprints. They could definitely take DNA from this hand. But
Yes.
it's and there's lots of other examples, of what they call the bog bodies.
I watch a lot of these British
Mm.
archaeology shows. Alice Roberts, Tony Robinson, days back, a couple of years back. All of these different archaeology shows about digging up Britain. Things
Yeah,
like
but these guys are just interested in digging up Roman pottery. It's kind of boring. Yeah.
And so it's pretty cool stuff. And I've seen a lot of those things on some of these people's shows. And they're very, very interesting to watch.
So the bog bodies, the materials that make up the preservation of the bog bodies are so unique that other than the flattening of the land, itself, like this hand would be like perfectly preserved. And that was another thing they said, that this hand is huge. And I says, I've known farmers with huge hands. We've all known farmers with huge hands. People who work the land,
sure,
their hands increase in size. They do. If a callus upon callus upon calluses upon calluses, your hand swells up to baseball mid size. And as well as whatever covering that this hand. So this hand was huge. So they reckon they had a giant in a bog field in County Offaly, which is 2,500 years old, and it was at least 6'6". So I'm kind of on this giant thing at the moment because a lot of people are talking about it again for some reason. The way these things come around, all these things come around when the giants walk the land. It's like a circle, They haven't talked about the biblical side of it yet, but it's more or less about, was there giant races in the past? Your sound is gone.
There's some biblical archaeology shows I watch too that shows these big circular, that are thousands of years old, circular, they don't know if they're temples or burial mounds, but they're huge, massive circles, and they of stacked stones all the way around, and relating to the giants, they thought. So that's very interesting.
It is a very interesting topic, and it's also kind of like frustrating because it always ends up in a woo-woo area,
Right.
But the chances of there being a race of people who were, extremely tall is reasonably high. But unfortunately, they've been sort of hijacked into either the biblical narrative or this kind of idea that, that there was this enormous race of giants that built these structures for a particular purpose, and now they're gone. And that's why. So you have the biblical reference, you have the kind of woo reference, you have the kind of a UFO reference, you have everything is thrown at the whole idea of giants, and the whole idea of the Smithsonian Institute taking all these bones in,
sure,
because the period of where we're talking about, where they took a lot of these bodies out, is bones out was, between say 1880 and 1930, and some of them, particularly later on, were very precise. The paperwork is there, but the Smithsonian has lost the bones, and they said they all got mixed up, and the bones don't exist, so there's no giants at all, even though the paperwork is there,
Sure.
And there's photographs. So it's a very interesting area, and I just thought I'd run it past you because. This particular body in the bog, was estimated to be well over 6 foot tall, And two and a half thousand years ago, that's highly unlikely. I would have thought it'd be absolutely remarkable. And if that was the case, it would either be a very freakish one-off kind of thing, or else there was larger people, in the British Isles and, certainly in the States, who used to roam the land, and who are humans, basically, but just very large humans,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and there's all kinds of references to them in all different cultures. So it's very interesting. Robert Bauer just says, Professor Bauer, the ancient past in our actual history is being turned over one turn of the spade at a time. What's been revealed recently in Giza is the tip of a very large and deep hole.
Yeah. I mean,
see what comes of that.
I mean, yeah, Giza is one of those things that's always like there's always something underneath. It's like
always
something that isn't there. There's always something there. There's always something.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm kind of in this thing where of drowning in the soil and drowning in the peat and what sucks you under, because unless you've worked in those bog fields, you don't know what they're like. So a lot of these places, especially during the Iron Age, trying to dig out these things was absolutely very difficult to do. Yeah,
right.
But that's it. I just called in to discuss that for a moment.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, you brought us to the end. I'm gonna wrap up the show right now. So Niall, thank you for coming in, sharing that with us.
No problem. Talk to you next time. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks. That's it. We're gonna wrap up for tonight. I appreciate you being here. We'll be back tomorrow night, and we'll kind of pick up where we left off. So all of you have a good night. See you next time.